Okay, well, look, overnight stories in a couple of the newspapers this morning that Tony Abbott is now considering a nanny's subsidy. That is a subsidy for working women who have care at home. But as he was explaining it on television this morning, he was saying that that it's really a productivity inquiry. He wants a productivity commission to have a look at it, and it would have to be funded within the available envelope. There's not much money in the envelope, is there?
Well, there's a bit of a shortage of money in the envelope, and I suppose we're starting to see this aspirational policies as opposed to aspirational politics now. We've got Tony Abbott saying, oh, this is a policy I'd really like to do, but only if it's responsible. And, of course, I'm going to have an a commission of audit after the election to find out what I can afford and can't afford, so fobs off a lot of responsibility for that. I think he's going to get into all sorts of trouble with these sorts of things. Nanny state sort of sounds nice to a lot of people. To a lot of people, they just say, well, come on, we can't afford that.
And it's essentially about trying to improve the vote with women, and has said there's a problem. But then you get the sort of Craig Thompson doctor's certificate issue, where they wanted more information than what a doctor's certificate provides. Have a look at this.
The issue with Craig Thompson is not whether he's crooked, but whether he's crooked. That's the issue. I think it's very important that members of Parliament, like the rest of the community, don't just chuck sickies when it suits them. Now, I think it's very important that if people want time off from the Parliament, they produce the evidence.
Now, if the media wants to simply accept that Mr Thompson could have appendicitis last August and could have appendicitis last Tuesday and apparently again today, well, that's fine for the press gallery, but the Coalition intends to have some real evidence of his ongoing medical condition.
It's quite vague in that it says he's got abdominal pain. What is an abdominal pain? Has he got, I don't know, constipation or you don't know.
You have the bizarre situation of Warren Entsch on the radio this morning purporting to be some sort of medical expert.
As a former medical practitioner, I would say question medical certificates at your peril.
I mean, do we really want to know if an honourable member has a bad case of hemorrhoids, for instance? It's a bit early, isn't it?
Yes, it is. But my point there is, on the one hand, he's sort of trying to find a policy prescription that wins him some support for women, and yet they play their politics so hard. Is that turning women off?
Well, it always has. Women haven't liked Tony Abbott's underlying aggression, and that's, as I say, I think that's something he's going to have to really change tack on. Particularly, there's sort of something really interesting happening now at the moment. He's going to be under pressure on policy. I think people are starting to really get weary of the aggression, and we've seen the outcomes of that in Queensland. And at the same time, you've got Julia Gillard actually being able to assert some authority over the Parliament, which the Coalition is conceding, because they're now suggesting it's not a minority government that's all very ragged around the edges. They're saying because of a dirty deal, it's actually this terrible alliance of bad forces who are running the country. They've had to change their line because the Prime Minister's been getting a lot of legislation through.
Yeah, and in this aggressive politics that he plays, I mean, he doesn't trust climate scientists, he doesn't trust bureaucrats. We know, for example, he completely ignored Andrew Metcalfe's advice, the head of Immigration Department, about the Malaysian solution. Doesn't trust economists. He said that their preference for a market-based model for finding a cheap path to climate, to carbon abatement is no good. And now we have, of course, doctors who are, widely regarded as pretty trusted members of society generally. So I think, it's pretty metallic politics.